Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Guilty as Charged. I am your host, Dreadnought X. With me as always is the chair shot king himself, Chips. On tonight's Extreme episode, we discuss the August 30th, 1994 episode of Eastern Championship Wrestling, which is the last episode before it switches to the era of the Extreme. And what an episode this will be, featuring one of E.C.W's most memorable moments featuring Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman. Episode 2 starts right now.
Extreme Championship.
Hello everyone and welcome to Extreme Championship Wrestling!
The franchise, Shane Douglas, is the man who ignites the new flame of the sport of professional wrestling.
Prepare yourself, big boy, because I'm Taz, the world television champion. Beat me if you can, Bam Bam. Survive if I let you.
So tonight, let the new era begin. The era of the sport of professional wrestling. The era of the franchise. The era of the E.C.W.
E.C.W, we're gonna give you the most bang for your buck. We're gonna break every effing rule in the business. And for that, I promise you, we are guilty as charged.
Alright, man. How's it going?
Hey, pretty good. It's been a busy week of wrestling for me. I've not stopped watching, but made time for some E.C.W because, you know, carrying on this exciting journey with many adverts this week.
Oh yes, this extremely ad-filled episode we have here.
Yeah, I feel like we might spend more time talking about the adverts this week than the wrestling because there was probably more adverts than wrestling, and a lot of them were pretty crazy.
I have some pretty good notes on these awesome ads, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, so this week we're talking about the August 30th episode, 1994 episode of Eastern Championship Wrestling. We just came off the tournament last week of Shane Douglas winning the NWA title, throwing it down, declaring himself the new E.C.W. champion, heavyweight champion. That didn't go over so well with Todd Gordon and the actually Todd Gordon was fine, but the guys at the NWA didn't take too kindly to that.
I wonder why.
It's only our belt. What's the problem?
yeah, I think they're just a bit oversensitive, personally.
Yeah. So Todd Gordon, comes out and says, "Hey, we folded Eastern Championship Wrestling. We're now known as Extreme Championship Wrestling, and we do recognize Shane Douglas as our champion." Now, this episode here is still considered Eastern Championship Wrestling, but this will pretty much be the end then, and the next episode going forward will be Extreme Championship Wrestling. I'm not sure why they have this episode as Eastern when it should have been kind of like the one right after. What do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. They, I guess because it's sort of like a lot of it is repeats of what we saw last week.
Right.
And like the show ends, for example, with the spray painting of the Eastern Championship wrestling sign that we talked about last week. So, I mean, it's sort of a weird overlap where they sort of, because they're doing the recap, it sort of makes sense that it's still a bit Eastern, but it's kind of weird, definitely. It's a little bit odd.
Yeah, because we have like the Dreamer match in here, which is like, but it's hard to, it's like we're not getting a show open, and then here's the arena, here's all the matches that happened in that arena, and then the show closes. We're getting they do so many jumps around and cuts and clips that it's hard to keep track right now of what's going on.
Yeah, it's all a bit confusing at the moment.
Yeah.
I think the show opens with a repeat of the 911 and Doink match.
Right.
So we sort of start by seeing that again, which we've already covered. That's how we start.
Yeah.
This. And then we sort of get into the Tommy Dreamer and Sandman issues with some weird still screens and talking about what sort of happened in their feud leading up to this point. And then it sort of slowly gets to the point where we transition into the match, but we learn about Sandman and his valet Woman, which is an interesting name for a valet. I find
it's either the greatest valet nickname or the most crappiest description of a nickname ever.
Definitely. It sounds like it's going to be very offensive in that it's just this person is just the woman, it's kind of derogatory. But they sort of also play it off as being kind of a pun, and it comes across in kind of an interesting way there. It's you need to bow down to woman and all this sort of thing. And it works pretty well as a name, but upon hearing it at first, you do kind of think, oh god, this promotion has just named this character Woman because they thought she was so unimportant that she could just be named by her gender.
Yeah, it's the first introduction we have to a woman, and we're just naming her Woman.
Yeah.
Next one will be Woman 2.
Yeah. But it turns out a lot of it is sort of it's just sort of having weird puns about it. It's kind of like how in WWF with Mankind, you can kind of say, "Oh, for the love of mankind," and character, but it works. It's it's kind of a cool way of doing it. But she's sort of one of our big heels in this situation.
So just before we get into the Dreamer Sandman match, there was right at the end of the recap, Heyman gets on the mic. He's like, whatever. This ain't the freaking circus. This is ECW. And then Joey Styles has a good line saying, "One clown down, Bischoff and McMahon remain."
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good line. There's a lot of great lines here between sort of Styles and Heyman. We have,
for sure.
Some of the best sort of talkers in the business, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Then we get into Eastern Championship Wrestling opening, and just a couple names noted there in that opening video. We see Terry Funk, Mikey Whipwreck, Public Enemy, Sabu, and Legion of Doom as well. Yeah,
we have a bit of a exciting mismatched selection of talent that I wasn't really expecting to see. We also have some great jazz music accompanying the intro, which I appreciate.
Yeah, it'll be a while before we get our good entrance music, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're not quite at the heavy metal stage. We're stuck in jazz currently.
And we'll get some more jazz later on when we get to the ads.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we get like I said, a Tommy Dreamer versus Sandman match later coming up, the Singapore Cane match. Now, do you know the reason behind the Singapore Cane match, why they did it?
They sort of explained a little bit in the sort of intro of their feud, but go on, enlighten me a little more about the sort of introduction of the Singapore Cane in this in these two guys' feud that's going on.
Yeah, so in the world, back in '94, there was a news thing that was happening where this guy named Michael Fay, he was a United States citizen. He was the subject of attention because he had been sentenced to 6 strokes of the Singapore Cane for theft and vandalism over in Singapore. So they had found him guilty, and he was 18 years old, and they had found him guilty, and that's the punishment he was getting over there was 6 strokes of this cane. So it was kind of like, I don't know, I think that's kind of where Western wrestling got the Singapore caning from.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's like a weird history lesson I definitely wouldn't have known about.
Yeah, because they reference that the article, and I've heard that before about this the caning, and that kind of like led to them coming up with this gimmick for this match.
It's a really cool gimmick. It works really well in this sort of setting, but it makes sense that it's sort of this edgy current event thing that's
exactly
sort of on the edge of. It's really cool. I like that. I like sort of hearing about that. That's the sort of thing that like is very E.C.W. in being kind of daring and a little bit too close to like reality almost.
Right, like you said, it's like Heyman kind of taking stuff from like current pop culture and stuff and the current news and kind of bleeding it into his E.C.W. product. Yeah,
well, that's cool. I like that.
So we get a recap of the feud. Sandman and Woman destroyed Sandman's estranged wife, Miss Peaches. And
see that.
He earns a title match against Mikey Whipwreck. Now, the story with Mikey Whipwreck, because he's got no offense, right? He just like, he does roll-ups, he just, he's just there to like wrestle, but he doesn't really have any offense. Like, he's a real defensive character, right? Almost maybe
we need more of that in wrestling now, by the way.
Maybe it's like that Orange Cassidy guy.
Oh, I love Orange Cassidy. Okay, I appreciate that.
Whipwreck, let's see here. Mikey Whipwreck, he bumped into a woman and he got caned. Sandman was caning everybody who, came out to try and save him. Finally, Dreamer came out, unloaded on the Sandman. And we get a woman slapping Dreamer. Dreamer gives her a big old kiss and then gets caned from behind by Sandman.
Yeah, we got to see our first actual caning. And, I mean, it's a great weapon that has been in wrestling for, I guess since around here, really, but it's something that I've appreciated for a long time. And, I mean, it was kind of cool to see the story play out.
Yeah.
We got to see a few characters that we're not quite going to, get to see full matches of yet. And then, we got to see Woman being dastardly, Tommy Dreamer doing the classic babyface move of kissing a woman without consent.
Kissing the heel's wife. So Hardcore Heaven comes next, and then Dreamer comes from under the ring and canes Sandman to get some revenge, and he kisses Woman again. And then we see a promo where Woman's cutting a promo with Sandman saying, I want him bloody, and I want him beaten. Which pretty much sets up our match for later. Yeah, and
it's definitely a feud where, I only got to see snippets of it, but it's a cool sort of lead up to this match.
Right.
And this match, you sort of alluded to it last episode, how sort of important and special it is for E.C.W. And, I've got to agree once we get there. But first, there are certainly some adverts that we need to talk about.
And before the ads, we get... even before like the actual regular ads, we get a first hotline ad for E.C.W. Hotline.
We got to call up the hotline. You might hear from one of the stars. You can find out all sorts of secrets. You'll have a quiz. They have quizzes apparently.
Yeah, we had some good sax. Some good. It reminded me of like a Saturday Night Live sax going on during this hotline ad.
We've got to keep up the jazz.
Then we get into our good commercials, our good ads. What was the star for you for commercials?
Oh, I did like hearing about 5 times throughout the episode that all the trucks are moving. Got to go get some Ford trucks.
The Ford trucks, yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of that. There was also the really weird, kind of sinister advert where you got to see lots of muscles, and then there was sort of floating, disembodied lips around.
Yes,
telling you that you could have these muscles.
The erotic solo flex machine.
Yeah.
This could be your body. This could be your stomach. This could be your arms. Yeah, it was quite the ad. The good thing is that during that first commercial break, we got the kind of like the very sensual, erotic, this could be your body solo flex ad with the flying lips. But then right after it, they do another solo flex ad, but it's like not the same one. It's like a completely different one right afterwards.
Yeah, we go from erotic solo flex to just sort of quite normal solo flex.
Yeah, it was
interesting stuff. Great to see all these ads. I mean, this is the sort of thing where obviously, I mean, I wouldn't have got any adverts like this in, the UK anyway. So these are outdated adverts.
Right.
From an entirely different culture. And I mean, I enjoy seeing erotic disembodied lips and bodies. That's what I'm all about, really.
Yeah, see, the people who have the WWE Network don't realize what they're missing out on. You're not just missing out on the awesome entrance music, you're missing out on like these quality ads.
I don't know why the WWE would put out the quality adverts and not just keep them in there.
Hey, it's sponsors, man. The Soloflex is still around, isn't it?
I wouldn't have known about Soloflex, but I mean,
What's
I
the
guess so,
Bowflex?
Probably.
Maybe they turn into Bowflex.
Well, I mean, I hope so. I hope that this company haven't disappeared. They make great adverts.
Yeah, I'd like to see their current ads and see how they've changed over the years.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm all about that. I mean, we could keep talking about adverts here because we have like maybe about a minute of match, and then we go straight into more adverts, which includes spray-on hair.
Yes, I have like a little bit of notes about the match, and all of a sudden it says more ads.
More ads.
More forward, more balding hair, instant hair. I need that.
Yeah, I mean, you always hear about spray-on hair in like sitcoms, in like US sitcoms, but
Right.
I haven't actually seen a real advert for the actual product of spray-on hair. But
And it looks good.
It looks great. I mean, I agree. I think more people need to spray their hair on.
That guy had like a full head of hair when he was done.
I don't trust the long-lasting ability to spray.
Just don't shower and you'll be fine.
Don't shower, don't touch it, don't ever wear a hat.
Yeah, don't go outside in the rain.
Yeah, don't go outside in the sun.
Yeah. So before that commercial, we got our first like awesome taste of like music from E.C.W. We had Sandman coming out through with Enter Sandman playing Metallica.
Oh, we did, and that's, I mean, one of the most iconic entrances in E.C.W. history. It suits his character so well. Just really great to see. I'm glad we got to see it again. We've had a couple of cool licensed tracks at this point, but this is, the pinnacle, obviously. Yeah,
for sure. So Singapore caning match. Loser gets 10 shots. Dreamer comes out to Pearl Jam's Even Flow, which is also good.
Yeah, and wearing an incredible red sparkly waistcoat, which should not be ignored.
Yeah, his fashion sense with the suspenders back here is quite adorable.
I think that look needs to return, to be honest. I mean, I saw Tommy Dreamer in the Battle Royal at All In, not at All In, at Double or Nothing. I think he would have looked a lot better if he was wearing
this is the look he should have went with. I agree.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So here we go back into our match, and Dreamers get like I noted Dreamer does a spinning kick.
Dreamer sort of had some fun offense, really. He's like, it's weird seeing early Tommy Dreamer and sort of seeing how he wrestles. I mean, these two are sort of way more known for their hardcore spots than their wrestling abilities, looking back. But, I mean, there were some fun moves in there alongside just, physical, brutal attacks.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised that he did a spinning kick. I wasn't used to seeing that.
Yeah. So, I mean, this match wasn't... We didn't see that much of this match. It wasn't a long match. It was very quickly, ended with, some shenanigans that led to our finish.
Yeah, so, like, the Sandman thumbs the ref in the eye. Dreamer gives him the DDT and has the match pretty much won. But Dreamer...
unfortunately, there is still a ref down, and there is woman to deal with.
Yeah. So Dreamer gets canned. And then he gets DDT'd and loses the match. So
it's all over for him.
So all the boys pretty much come out from the back, and Todd Gordon, and they're pretty much saying, hey, we can restart this match. It's like you got shafted. It's like you don't have to lose this way. And, Dreamer being the ultimate babyface, just trying to get over with this this crowd here, is like, hey, this is E.C.W. I lost. I'll take my licks.
Hell yeah. And, we get to start on the road to many, many kendo sticks. Sorry, Singapore cane. Wrong weapon.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you talk about him being the ultimate babyface, and I feel like having this sort of thing repeated in wrestling even nowadays, where a wrestler's willing to take an incredible amount of punishment and is incredibly valiant throughout and willing to take all this punishment and come through looking like this badass who's not afraid and is willing to even though the rules were broken, take this. It's just like it makes him the ultimate babyface. Like, everyone is entirely behind him immediately, and it makes him look so cool and badass as well.
Yeah, like, can you think of like a current wrestler that you could see like getting beaten down so bad where they would have the sympathy that like I felt during this match?
I really can't. I mean, I just think that how this all plays out is just this perfect way of getting that sympathy, but I also can't think of any characters who would get the same amount as Tommy Dreamer gets here. I mean, I do think it's something that definitely is underutilized here and would make way more sense to, use more often. It's great.
Yeah, so it was so he starts taking these shots, and woman's telling him, he doesn't have to if he just gets down and kisses her feet, which he responds to saying, why don't you get down and kiss my ass?
Which is great.
So he gets a couple more shots in, and these first two shots, I mean, I would take a couple of these Sandman shots, these first ones. They weren't too bad.
I mean, that's very brave of you. I think
the first couple, I say.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everyone would like to take maybe one not too vicious shot with a Singapore cane. Because it's an interesting thing. It's something you've got to experience in your life. Yeah. But I definitely wouldn't want another one. I think after one,
I agree. I'd probably be in the same boat. So he takes 8, and then he's like, thank you, sir. May I have another? Which is like a iconic line from this moment.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, it's a perfect line from this moment.
Yeah.
It sets him up as being so cool, so brilliant in this situation, and obviously he does get another.
Yeah, so he's at number 9 now, and he's telling the Sandman to give him his best shot. So the Sandman decides to take like a running start and just destroy this man's back with the last shot.
Oh, and his back is ruined after all these shots. Like, there's blood, there's
his arm, his back's got like a big cross on it.
Yeah, like, the shots with the stick have made this incredible cross mark. Like, Sandman's done something pretty impressive, quite artistic here almost.
He's got a canvas he's working with.
Yeah, definitely. But, I mean, that last shot, I mean, we were talking about that we'd maybe take one shot with a Singapore cane, but it wouldn't be that one.
It wouldn't be that it wouldn't be that shot, that's for sure. That looked nasty. So Dreamer says, that's all you got, I'm still standing. And then so of course Sandman just gives him another shot for good measure.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's only fair. He didn't need to be mocked like that. And...
yeah, he should have just shut up and took his 10 and walked away.
Yeah. he didn't need any more than that either. His back was certainly damaged enough at that point. I would have been quiet then. I would have already run away, I suppose.
There was a good moment there, though, where he took his 10, and you kind of had that face-to-face with him and Sandman, and you can kind of tell that. And then the crowd was behind Dreamer at that point. He's kind of over now as a babyface.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, this whole thing is such an incredible scene. You can see why it's so iconic. You can see why this is a moment that's mentioned as being so important in the history of ECW, because it's so cool. It's so amazing at putting one guy over and just sort of showing the brutality he's willing to go through, and that he is extreme, basically.
Right. Yeah, and then of course we get like Sandman, who just decides, okay, well, this is over now. I'm gonna light up a smoke in the middle of the ring.
Of course, because there's nothing cooler than smoking.
Not back in the 90s, I guess.
No, definitely not. Especially in ECW.
Yeah. So that's it for that section, and then we get some more great ads.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one thing I need in my life, it is a sci-fi VHS collection, including Star Trek outtakes and the making of Terminator 2.
Yes, it's that's awesome. It's only $20. It's a twin pack because you get the Terminator 2 making up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything more that we could need. I love how much they were really pushing how great it was that you'd get to see these never-before-seen outtakes from Star Trek.
Hey, I would pay to see those scenes from Star Trek. I like Star Trek.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's the sort of thing you get as a bonus feature on a DVD nowadays, but paying for it outright is an important part of your experience.
All right, so our awesome ads are done. Now we get a recap of the tournament up till now.
Yeah, we go through pretty much the whole sort of tournament. We see a lot of the things we'd already seen. We saw sort of, the Tasmaniac match.
Right.
We saw, and then eventually we leave, obviously because we've gone through the tournament again, we get to see Too Cold Scorpio and Shane Douglas have their pretty awesome match again.
Yeah.
Which, we've already talked about, but I mean, I watched the full match again because it's really good. So, I mean, I didn't feel the need to skip it. I got to see all the cool things like, Too Cold Scorpio's awesome moonsaults and just the general, like, that match is, like, stands up today. It's something that I'm still happy to watch. I mean, I've watched it twice in sort of the space of a couple of weeks.
Right.
And, it's not like there's a shortage of good wrestling. It was NXT TakeOver tonight, but I still watched
You still watched it.
This.
Yeah, it's definitely a good match. Too Cold Scorpio, man, I love watching him in the ring. He's got the high flying, he's got the technical, he's got the charisma, he's got it all.
Yeah, and then after the match we get the whole speech with the belt. We get the Flair is dead chants, and then we get the upset NWA guys, the renaming, the spray painting, and that's our episode, really. Yeah,
that's pretty much. And then, at the very end, we get another great ad. I don't know if you stuck around there to the very end. After everything was over, we got this Red Cross ad.
Oh yeah,
for the folding cot. Did you get that?
Yeah, we needed to see how much a folding cot cost for the Red Cross and donate to them, I guess.
Yeah, and then we had the last couple seconds. We had some babies and some puppies.
I mean, what could be better? What could be better following the most extreme wrestling?
It's like I couldn't look away. I just wanted to see what commercial came up next.
You've got to keep going for these last few minutes just to see what's yet to come, because it's very important.
No, you might miss something.
Exactly. I think the only advert we missed might have been about foster parenting from some sports star, but that was one of the less exciting ones. It wasn't as good as the trucks moving.
Yeah, the Ford one was.
We got that advert about 5 times throughout this show. They really were pushing the trucks.
And there's just so many ads. Like, I know these days, I mean, it cuts to commercial like every 5 minutes too, but
I mean, these days though, you wouldn't want to watch them, but here they're an important part of the show. They're almost as good as the show.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
But yeah, I guess that's everything to sort of talk about this week, because there wasn't that much new content on the episode. Not that it was a bad episode,
right?
But we're still leading into, real E.C.W, which is coming next week.
Yeah, so hopefully now next week we will. I think we're pretty much done with our recap, so we should get some good matches next week.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as weird recap episodes go, getting one of the most iconic sort of matches and scenes of E.C.W alongside it made this, kind of must watch regardless.
Right. So yeah, so next episode will be the start then of Extreme Championship Wrestling, and we'll get to see a tag match between the Public Enemy and Mikey Whipwreck and Cactus Jack.
Well, that's exciting. That's cool. We get to see
a tag match. So
a lot of talent in there that are pretty big names in the end.
And we'll see Chris Benoit in the ring as well.
Oh, nice. I mean, can never get enough of him in terms of just great
in terms of wrestling.
Yeah, maybe not in terms of other things, but in terms of wrestling, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, a Chris Benoit match, a Dean Malenko match, and Cactus Jack. So we got quite the actual good wrestling coming up in the next episode.
Nice, and I bet as well, alongside that, we also get some grade A adverts. I
can guarantee you there will be floating lips. And some other good ones.
Well, that's all I could ever ask for.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to be like buying all these products because it all seeps into my brain the amount I see it. I'll be going past and I'll just see like a Ford showroom at some point and just think
singing the song in your head.
all these trucks are moving. I'd better get in there.
Yeah. I see you on stream. You'll be using a can of that hair stuff.
Oh, I don't know if I quite need that right now. But
no, probably not.
Sure, I'll. I mean, I better get it in reserve just in case.
Hey, it might sell out.
Yeah, I mean, it should have sold out by now. Please.
You would think so. It's probably expired.
You think so? I mean, if I don't trust it when it's brand new, so expired spray hair just seems like the worst.
Seems like a bad idea, yeah.
Oh, well, that was sort of a pretty breezy episode, but
yeah,
we'll be back with more content next week, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I got the official outro already queued up, but if you want to give a plug to your other podcast there, you can go ahead.
Perfect. Well, just uploaded an episode, I think it was earlier today actually, for Drops, Dives and Death Matches with John Dinsdale. We do that every week. We covered a bit of WWE stuff, a lot of Best of Super Juniors. I obviously talk about Legends House very excitedly, so that's a very important part of that. So yeah, if you just find that on your usual podcast feed, we should be there. I have not sorted out being on Spotify yet, but that'll happen at some point. Other than that, I'm going to be writing a article for a friend about the Best of Super Juniors tournament. So, but you'll find all that on my Twitter, which is @FishChipsWhips, and also I stream on Twitch if you fancy watching me play some video games at Chips_games on Twitch. So that's pretty much what I do, and yeah, if you check any of those out, I would be grateful.
Perfect. Awesomely done.
Thank you very much. I'm good at self-promotion.
All right, man. Sounds good. Let's get out of here.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. Have a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find the show on all your favorite podcast apps: Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and Spotify. Just search Guilty as Charged. If you want to send us a comment, question, feel free to email us at GuiltyasChargedPodcast@hotmail.com. You can also check out the show over on Twitter, Guilty as Podcast. You can also follow Chips and myself on Twitter and Twitch, and all those links will be in the podcast description below. Have a good night, everybody.
And for that, I promise you, we are guilty as charged!